DZ, and it's the red zone. Here we go with all this talent from around the United States. Hey, Josh Stolar, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to rock and roll with you just like ACDC does for all of us and inspire us. But you know what? We're here about inspirational leaders from across the United States, making sure that they bring their tools, their weapons to make sure that we sharpen them up and are prepared for the 23-24 school year. We're ready to learn from you and from everybody here on the panel because it's important that we always keep our tools sharpened because we're in the best business, the kid business, the public education, the best profession out there because we create all the other professions. So if you are in Alaska or Hawaii, if you're in Maine or in Florida or anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you. If you're seeing this on the rebroadcast, like it and share it. Rebroadcast, pass it everywhere because you know what? We're only going to grow stronger together because iron sharpens iron. What do you think about that, Mr. High School Massachusetts Dean Packard?
JT, do you have that written down? Because you don't even waver. You hit every word exactly the same time on every lead-in, man. I don't know. You must practice that in your sleep. Hey, listen, everybody. My name is Dean Packard, proud principal, Bay Path Regional Vocational Technical High School. Thank you, Josh, for saying that once again. But one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, along with my buddy Josh and Chris. And we are super excited to have you guys here with us tonight when we can reach out across the country and bring in leadership and talk educational jargon, man. What else could you ask for when you sit in the seats that we do? So, hey, first and foremost, welcome to the table, everybody. Let's quickly go around the room. Who you are, where you're from, what your passions are, and let's go from there. Let's start off with Ann. Ann, welcome.
Ooh, okay. I don't know how I can follow that, but I'll try.
You got this.
Right? So I am Ann Labangana Clay, and I am the Education Associate who oversees educator equity and recruitment for Delaware Department of Ed. And obviously, you know, we in the country are have a shortage of teachers, but part of my work and been able to see some of the fruits of that already is bringing in that qualified talent, trying to get them excited down in the high school level, the middle school level, et cetera, to be a teacher, and also changing the narrative of what it is to be a teacher in America so that everyone wants to do it. So one of my passions, in addition to that, is just that, being surrounded by our future, which are our teachers, as well as our students across the country. And so I'm excited to be on this panel this evening.
Awesome. Well, welcome aboard. We love representation from Delaware. That's an awesome thing to do right there. Diana, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Diana Pecorino, and I am proud part of Garland ISD USA. And I am one of the coordinators for the multilingual programs in our school district. And so we have over 20,000 emergent bilinguals. And so I get to work from 3-year-olds through 21-year-olds that are getting ready to graduate. And those 3-year-olds are getting ready to graduate too, you know? So that is what we love, is that we start with the little ones and talk to older ones too about their success in life and, you know, where their passions are, and finding those passions and getting those passions out, and working with teachers and administrators to create an environment that's going to support all of our families that are new to the country or have been here, but are still learning a different language. So really just empowering our community to come together and have the success of different languages within our community. And as that's become, a conversation across the United States, then I love being a part of that conversation and really bringing people together and finding that commonality so that we can continue to empower us. So my passion is that, is just bringing people together and finding our common ground so that we can continue to strengthen each other and build a stronger community. Yeah, I love that. I love that every day. So thank y'all for having me.
I can feel it right there just listening to you. You are a rock star, no doubt about that. Craig, you're up.
Thank you so much. Hey, Josh and Dean, I love that intro. Josh, you were rocking that intro. You mentioned ACDC. That's some perks right there. So I've been a health and phys ed teacher for 35 years. This is my 36th year. I'm an SEL liaison for my school. I just published my first book, Dream Big: Stories and Strategies for a Successful Classroom. It's got It's gotten a really good reception, which has been amazing. My passion has always been education. I'm a huge believer in relationships first. I think it is impossible to have an effective school and an effective classroom if you do not build solid, meaningful, reciprocal relationships. Number one, across the board, no matter what anybody says. And my book is all about engagement and relationships. It's just what I believe in. I've always believed in it. And I still love, this is my 36th year, I love being with kids. I'm a high school teacher. I love it. I think I always say to fellow educators and people I mentor, education is the most noble profession in the world. And it's not even up for debate because every other job has had a teacher who teaches somebody. So if you are a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, you work in construction, you had a teacher impact your life in some way or another. My other passions, I'm actually a national championship powerlifter. I hold the national record for my age and weight in powerlifting. I'm ranked number 9 in the world. So wellness has been a passion of mine since I've been 13. And I would say, obviously family and friends, but I'm just going to say I'm grateful to be here. Josh, I truly appreciate you getting me on, and I love the energy. When you're around people that are passionate about education, you know it. It's so obvious. So thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate it.
I mean, the kids must love knowing the fact that you're a power lifter and you're nationally ranked. That must be a great connective piece. There's no doubt about it. I love that. I love hearing that.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that out, Craig. Sherrod, you're up.
You saved the best for last. No, I'm just kidding. So my name is Sherrod Laws, and I represent North Carolina here in Greenville, North Carolina, home of the East Carolina Pirates. But I'm a Duke fan, so
I was going to say NC Duke. I was waiting. That was coming. That was coming.
I proudly serve as the executive director and principal of a brand new charter school coming to Greenville, North Carolina. That's called Greenville Preparatory Academy, where we serve as an intergenerational school community. So when school is when school is done, there's going to be a senior citizen component as well as the kids. So we are going to do service learning for the senior citizens, and the senior citizens are going to come and serve as foster grandparents for our students. And so we're going to teach our students to care about the elders in the community and be responsible for them while being prepared for college. And that is a passion of mine. I took this job because I took it personally. I grew up with older people in my household who all had their hand in rearing me. And so my passion is giving back. That's the main reason why I got into education in the first place. The money will come as long as people know your heart and they know your passion. The money will be there. I come from, my mom was an educator, and I'm the first person in my family to have a high school. Well, we all have high school diplomas, but I'm the first college graduate in my family. And so I promised my grandma that I would go and make a difference in the world, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. But my passion also lies in children, and I wrote a children's book a couple of years ago. It's called When I Lose a Parent, because I lost my mom when I was in high school. My freshman year of high school, I lost my mom. And so that book is really good for children. It helps them to come up with coping strategies as well as things that they can do to give back, because giving back is one of my core values. And so that's why I'm here, and I just moved to this area about 4 months ago from the western part of the state, where I served as a principal for 3 years. And so I just look forward to doing the same thing here that I did there, change lives.
Josh, we are greatness in this room tonight. My gosh, I love it.
Awesome job. Thank you. And I didn't take too kindly to those North Carolina Tar Heels beating up on my South Carolina Gamecocks, all right? I didn't like that, but I'll turn the page on that. Let's get started with a two-part question right here. So we'll start off with you, Craig. We all had that burning passion or someone that motivated us to be an educator. So, who motivated you? And that could be both positive and negative. Who motivated you to become an educator? And part two, who currently lights that fire for you?
Okay. So she wrote about this very briefly. When I was in college, I was a business major, and I will never forget. I was at Penn State. I was a business major, and I was sitting in a economics class, and the professor was talking about supply and demand curves. And I had turned to one of my friends in the lecture hall, and I said, "Oh my God, there's no way I'm going to do this the rest of my life. I want to be a phys ed teacher." And he said, "Can I be there when you tell your dad?" So I came home, I told my dad, and I had calculus in college, and my teacher's name was Mrs. Gold. And I will never forget, my friend and I were in the back of class, and we were laughing. He had told me a joke, and I couldn't stop laughing. And you know when you put your head down to stop laughing and somebody giggles and they go, and you start to laugh again? I couldn't stop. And this is what she did. She said, "Craig, are you okay? Do you want to step outside? It's okay." And that struck me as like, didn't get mad, didn't get angry, but was so compassionate and funny and understanding that she was the person who really made me see what an outstanding teacher is. She impacted me in such a positive way. And I had other teachers as well, but she was the one in college that really let me see what excellence should and can look like in a class. As for right now, I would say, I mean, again, I've been in education for 36 years. I would actually say that I used to coach wrestling. The gentleman that I coach wrestling with, his name is Andy. Hopefully he sees this one day. He's a superintendent of a neighboring district where I work. We're good friends. He actually just got my book. We were going back and forth. And I have never seen anybody work as hard as he does for the betterment of children. I've never seen him get angry. I've never seen him get upset. And his ability to connect with parents in a large school district is so incredibly inspiring that he just, and I am the first person to say, I am a really hard worker. I will do anything for kids, but I watch him work and he is an inspiration. So my college calculus teacher and a good friend of mine who's a superintendent, the two people.
Thank you very much. Deanna?
So when I was in college, I translated for our courthouse, and I was a probation officer at the bright age of 18 years old, and it was because I was in a small little town and I knew Spanish, and that's what they needed, and I needed a job, so I got into that. But I think it was just a seed in the path that I was being led in, and in serving in that capacity, I just saw, where students could end up. And so that is really what triggered me of becoming an educator, is going into education to guide those students in a different direction. And I just kept thinking, what if somebody would have stepped up for you, or what if somebody would have been there for you during that hard time that you were having, and build that relationship with you to guide you in a different direction. And so that's what spurred me to go into education, and seeing a lot of our first generation students whose parents were in trouble, and those students were being left behind. And so it was that, and I had an amazing counselor in high school that helped me and led me in that direction of being the first graduate in my family in college. And had it not been for my counselors, then I wouldn't be here today, because we didn't have money. My parents didn't know how to read English and the systems. And so it was because of my counselors that they led me in this direction. and helped me find the financial aid that I needed, and writing the papers, and motivating you that you can do it, and just one more paper to write. So that definitely led, like I said, one thing to the next. And now what inspires me is being in the classroom with those teachers, and just seeing that I can make their life a little bit easier, and the decisions that we make, and the connections that we make, and the relationships with our communities. So I love being in the classroom with teachers. I love talking to them, new teachers or teachers that are veterans, because everybody brings something to the table of what can make their life easier. And so that's really what fires me up. I think I get the direction from them in talking to them. I come out with a ton of notes every time, and everybody makes fun of my stickies, but those stickies work, okay? Because I come out and I'm like, all right, we got to get this sticky done today. Let's go get it done. So yeah, that from being in the courthouse and listening to those stories of what we could make a difference in, to my counselors, to now to the teachers that inspire me every day, is why I'm in education. Yeah.
Love it. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. El profe.
So I knew I was going to be in education from a young age, like third, fourth grade. I was the one who was, tutoring other kids. I was helping other kids. My teachers just motivated me. All of my teachers, I can tell you all my teachers by name, from kindergarten all the way up to high school, because I knew that I was going to be in education. I got in trouble at home one time because I took a red crayon and wrote the word fifth grade on the door. And I was teaching the stuffed animals, like everything that we learned I was in fifth grade at the time. And so I got in trouble at home. But when I got to middle school, I was trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to teach. Like, I always knew I was going to be in education. So it was my Spanish teacher, Stephanie Gray. I remember her like it was yesterday. She was from Spain. Spanish came very easily to me, to be honest. I didn't study a lot. And she was talking about new beaches in the Mediterranean, and that motivated me, like, okay. So but I was so good at Spanish to the point where, like, in high school and even in college, I had my own classroom, like tutoring students. That's how crazy it was. But it wasn't until 8th grade when that was my first time ever having a black male principal. His name is Charles Burns. He was the one that motivated me to get into education and to go further than just being in the classroom. So high school, college, I got a scholarship when I was in 8th grade, and they kept track of me all the way through high school. It was for people who wanted to be educators, because my alma mater at the time, there was a 1 to 9 male to female student enrollment. They were trying to increase male enrollment at my university, the North Carolina Central University Eagles, 2-time graduate. So Principal Charles Burns and my Spanish teacher in middle school, my mom, who was a pre-K teacher, and there was this African lady because I had gone back and forth. There was an African lady in the Spanish tutoring class that I was in when I was tutoring in college. She asked me, well, what do you want to do when you graduate, young man? And I said, at this point, I was like, teachers don't make enough. I ain't trying to do that. I wanted to be an interpreter in the court system. That's what I wanted to do. But she said that you have the patience of, you will make a really good teacher. And I want you to think about that, because she was the one who told me that if you're doing it for the money, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. And that the more you do in your passion, it will come. So those are the people who motivated me in education. And who motivates me now? I have a lot of people who motivate me now, but last year I started mentoring like brand new assistant principals. Like, I have 2 mentees that I mentor right now, Javon Cato and Gary Ayuli, who live in South Carolina and Virginia respectively. So I'm like their accountability buddy. So it's like every week, did you get in the classrooms this week? Did you spend how much time did you spend on discipline? How much time did you spend on this and this and that? I listened every week for the past 3 years to the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four gets me through everything. So Principal Kafele, Sean Hurt, Dr. Shika, and Dr. Tammy and Tovar, with this podcast, they get me through so much, and they motivate me to want to give back to those first year APs who are struggling right now because of duties and because of not really knowing what to do. So they're pretty much who motivate me now. And also I have a twin sister who motivates me. My wife motivates me. And my son, who's 14 years old, motivates me, as well as my daughter. So I just have a whole bunch of people who just motivate me to keep going. Like right now, I'm facing a real tough situation, but all those motivations are what keep me going.
Love it. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. Anne.
All right. Once again, I have to follow some greatness here from everybody on the call. So going back, and I might be one of the oldest here in the group, but let's see. And we're not including Craig.
No, Craig, he's an Iron Man. I'm not
Craig
even
is the
touching that.
youngest.
I'm the youngest, yay.
right. Y'all are too much. But no, seriously, I'm thinking way back, and I've had time to reflect while everybody was talking. And really, the first person who made me think about education in a positive light that I, can go back to, in my 20 years that I was actually in the classroom before moving into administrative work, was my second grade teacher. And my second grade teacher, Miss Brown, like her biggest thing, like that I remember, was actually, her reading to us in a rocking chair, right? She took time every day to make sure that we got our stories in, but, not just your picture books, right? She actually, went into some depth and chapter books as well. Second grade, I can just remember, how many days or weeks it took to get through, but, loved that experience, loved sitting on the carpet, and all that type of stuff. And so then when I, like I said, as my own classroom, like it was so important for me to go to a thrift store or wherever, and get a rocking chair so that I could have it for the students and all those types of things. I actually started my education path, meaning for college, as a psychologist. Like I thought I wanted to be a child psychologist. And part of my clinical work, when I'm doing my studies, was to go to a school that was nearby in Richmond, Indiana. And that actually sparked like even more, like I was like, no, I'm on the wrong path. I want to go, and be a teacher. And so that was a nice reverting. And of course, I've been able to use that psychology as well with everything. But those who inspire me today, I have to agree with everybody on the call. There are so many. You can't even list them all, really. But I think that most recently, my visit to one of our community colleges here in Delaware, watching a teacher teach future teachers inspired me. She was so patient, like she was modeling everything that it should be in a classroom with children, but here they were adults, wait time and all that type of stuff. And it just was incredible. And to see the students really look invested, right? Because she was invested, right? What she was putting out there was so powerful to them that they were totally engaged, hanging on her every word. So I'm, like I said, inspired by so many, but I definitely think of her at this time.
Love hearing all that stuff right there. All right, so I'm going to circle back here. Let's talk a little bit about your 2023, how it went for you, and what are your big rocks here in 23, 24? What does that look like? What is the change? So again, let's go back to 22, 23, how you managed, how things went, and now 23, 24, the big rocks you're looking to take on. Deanna, you're up first.
All right. Ooh, that's some good reflection right there. Let's think about that. So
Let me give you some wait time. Tova, how's your day going right now? Let's just model this right now. Talk to me.
It was great, brother. It's great. We're ready.
20 seconds. 20
We had a
seconds.
fire.
No,
a
20
fire
seconds.
drill.
Be prepared.
Yeah, we had a fire drill without it
Even better.
being pulled. There was some dust on it, and so it happened
Yeah,
right in the
great.
main office.
Yeah.
So we had it's just
All right.
a dirty sensor, and so we had
Of
to
course
pull
that
all the
happens.
kids out.
That's
One
the
What
of
are you
those
guys
things.
doing?
Yeah.
All right, back to the question. Wait time is over. Go ahead.
I'm ready. Here we go. Okay. I think the biggest last year's goal was bringing everybody back together. You know, I think that the year we came back from COVID, it was just putting out fires, right? Like put this out, and then we're just running around. And so last year it was about building a team, that cohesiveness, what it's like to be back at work and enjoying our work together, and building that team effort, right? So we brought our team together, and how are we going to support our campuses? And so I lead a team of LPAC teachers, so they're helping emergent bilinguals from all secondary, middle school, and high schools. And so it was really building those relationships together so that we could help one another, right? So we weren't working in silos and just putting out fires. There was more depth to what we were doing in our support on the campuses. And so for this year, now that we have that team mentality that, you know, we're helping one another, it's now planning ahead. So that's how we kicked off the year this year is, okay, we know what the year is going to look like. We know when and how we're going to make the biggest impact on our students. And that's going to be to get in there, build those relationships with those students, you know, just like Mr. Craig said, like that's so important. And so how are we going to do that? And how are we going to motivate them this year? And how are we going to motivate our teachers, right? So it's going from that team environment to now spreading that team environment in each one of our campuses. So getting our teams together at the campus, all about students, all about growing our students and really developing them from day one. You know, so we hit the road running in the beginning of August and getting to know who our students were, and what their strengths were, what their weaknesses are, and what our team's strengths and weaknesses are on the campus. So I'm big on Enneagram numbers. I don't know if y'all know about Enneagram numbers, but it's all about, you know, who you are and owning who you are, and it being okay that, you know, you're going to have weaknesses, and that's okay. Just know what they are, and that's going to be somebody else's strengths. And so that's how we've kicked out the year, is getting to know other people through their Enneagram number and giving each other grace that they're gonna have faults, and hey, so are we. You know, we're not perfect. So how can we build around that and plan ahead for that, so that our students are not the ones that are being affected by those weaknesses. So I'm excited.
You love
Yeah.
it. I can tell the passion's exuding right from you. I absolutely love it. Sherrod, you're up.
So 2022-23 was a year of impact for me. So the year before, like Deanna said, it's just putting out fires, trying to boost morale. And I feel like that's one thing that I bring to the table no matter where I am, is that culture of high expectations, consistent expectations. So prior to the last school year, 22-23, our mascot is a kingfisher. And so my PBIS background kind of kicked into high gear. And so if you don't know about a kingfisher, it's a little bird that starts in the tree, and then they dive into the water after their fish, and then they'll bang the head against the tree, and then they'll feed the fish to their kids. So our mascot is a kingfisher, and so it's a beautiful bird. And so I had to think about my marketing brain started, coming into play here. How can we market something that will not only impact the students in the school, but also the adults and the community around us, and something that will help us to start communicating these consistent expectations. So I came up with the concept of Dive In Together. And so, of course, the team pretty much took the concept and ran with it. Like, they loved it. So Dive In, D stands for do everything safely. I is I'm a leader. V is value. E is engage. So these are the school-wide expectations. And so under those came the rules, and under those came the procedures. And so we had a reset, a school-wide expectation reset, not only for the students, but we also had a school-wide expectation reset for the adults in the building. The adults got a matrix and the kids got a matrix. We spent time going over the matrix every single day for the first, Harry Wong says, the first 2 to 3 weeks of school. Sherrod Law says the first 180 days. We got to go over expectations every single day. Not the same way, but taking the time to taking the 5 to 10 minutes out of your day to consistently go over expectations. I did morning announcements every morning. Students were able to regurgitate all of the expectations because we spent time with lesson plans in different areas and going over them. The school is strong academically, but we could not have any kind of instruction going on without those consistent expectations. So that was the focus last year. That was the big rock. We had a 64% turnaround in negative behavior from 21-22 to 22-23, simply because we were intentional in going over those expectations on a daily basis. And so I actually left the school in April of last year to take on this executive director principal role. But I can tell that because even this year, from the people that I talked to, it is still going strong. They have not had as many issues in the beginning of the year this year with student behavior because they have had the resets at the beginning of the year, and they're going to have resets after every break. So what that tells me is that the foundation for successful school is a positive climate and culture, and we can't have any instruction without it. And so we had to fix the culture first, because when your head of school has to come down to your middle school and help with discipline, that's a no-no in my book. You need to be up there doing your executive role and not coming down here and making sure that everything is kosher down here. That's my and the other principal's job, and we weren't doing our jobs effectively, and I could tell. And knowing your school and having a pulse on your school, for me, I felt like the school was sick. And when I say that, I mean we had children fighting each other. We had children bullying each other, picking on each other, students cussing out teachers not being consistent, teachers burned out, teachers writing emotional referrals, teachers writing students up out of spite. So all these things was going on the year before the 22-23 school year, and we fixed all of that. That PBIS concept of diving in together is what's propelling that school forward now. So that way the real work can begin in student achievement.
Great stuff right there, Sherrod. Thank you very much for sharing it up. Ann.
All right. So the year that we came out of COVID was reactive. And the year that we have just completed and we're going into was proactive. And so, partnerships, my rocks were partnerships, reimagining systems, and bolstering support. And through those things, so partnerships more so on our end, relationships, right? at the building level. But those partnerships were, as were shared before, we used to be in silos, right? Everything, of course, with COVID, et cetera, just enhanced that, right? Being in silo work. But really, when you work as partners, when you align your work with others who have the same missions and visions, that's how, proper systems, right? Not systems that sometimes need to be dismantled, but how proper systems can run more or be created more effectively. So lots of frameworks were put in place, lots of strategies were put into place. And now this and, making sure that what's been put in place is actually effective for the end result, which is our students, right? And bolstering those supports. So mental health, I think of, as a huge area for everyone, students, staff alike, impacted, and making sure that those supports are in place for all of the above has been really crucial, and I think will help to turn the page as we move forward.
Great stuff right there as well. Craig.
So I'm just listening. I was taking some notes. I'm a big Post-it note person. I'm always doing Post-it notes. It's something I wrote about frequently because I think it's just a great tool. And I'm going to say before I give my answer, one of the things I've long said after 35 years is you can tell when somebody's passionate. It's very hard to teach it, but you can tell it. You listen to a passionate educator, and it is crystal clear that they care deeply about kids. So kudos to the three of you for really spreading a positive message. Well done. So I was listening to Sharad. I'm an acronym person. So I have lots of different acronyms. In 2023, so I've been a leader at my school in the SEL community and also as a mentor. And in 2023, everything to me and how I helped other people was about reach. And reach is remember that every achievement creates hope. And I think it's something that is long forgotten, because what I see and what I have seen is it's so incredibly easy for educators and even leaders to have 5 or 6 things good and one thing tough and focus on the one thing. It's just kind of human nature. I do a lot of speaking professionally, and it's something that I always say to people: focus on the good things that are happening. Acknowledge the tough things. You don't want to ignore them. If you ignore them, they just get worse. But they can't be your sole criteria. So it was kind of like we were coming out of COVID, like everybody mentioned, and there was this general morale problem, and which is understandable. I mean, the kids were locked inside. Teachers were. It was tough. But one of the themes that we tried to talk about is, again, that same thing, is the remembering that every achievement creates hope. Focus on the good things that are happening. But this year, the acronym is called TAP, and that's trust, agency, and passion. And those things are kind of very simple, and hopefully this will resonate with everybody. When you think about the acronym of TAP, trust, agency, and passion, it is impossible to have a highly functioning school without teachers that have trust. A leadership team must trust their teachers. The teachers must trust their students. If you don't have that, everything is going to go out the window, because trust is necessary. It's not an optional thing. You have to have it. Without it, everything else, without trust, you don't have agency. And agency is, if you are trying to empower, and I know that's like a buzzword that's used, but it's not really, it's factual. If you are trying to empower staff and students, there has to be trust, otherwise they won't do it. And to empower people correctly, you have to really believe in them. You have to believe that they are able to be better every single day. Doesn't mean perfect. I think, Diana, you touched on it, which I thought was great. We are not perfect. You mentioned grace. We always talk about school, truth and grace. Give grace, but acknowledge the truth, which is really important. And obviously the last thing, that passion piece, I'm the first to say I struggle deeply with this, because I am intensely passionate about teaching. Intensely passionate. You know, And it is a struggle sometimes to see others who are not, especially when you're dealing with kids. But I have learned today, a perfect example happened. A new teacher came down to me who was struggling. And I asked them about their day. What does your class look like? And they started to cry. And they were saying to me that they were crying. They said, I'm so grateful to talk to you. And I said, I'm here to help, but I also need you to understand that your students need you. They need you to be strong. It doesn't mean that you can't be, you should be show a humanistic side and an authentic side, but you need to be strong. So that's kind of that passion that we need to kind of promote. So reach is 22, 23 and tap is 23, 24 and going forward. Thank you again for listening.
Great stuff right there. JT?
So I always say that iron sharpens iron, and we want to make sure that we learn from each other. You know, the beautiful thing about our field is that we beg, borrow, and steal ideas, and we make them our own. So I'd like for you all to give me one where we covered all last year that you discussed about SEL for students, but today the focus is SEL for the adults. So please provide us one strategy within your sphere of influence that you're doing to ensure that SEL is taking place for adults. Only one. And
Wow, only one. Respecting time. So that's it. You said I can only give one.
okay, perfect. Sherrod.
Making sure that I spoil them, spoiling them with something every month instead of waiting until Teacher Appreciation Week, spoiling them with something every month based on the things that they like.
Exactly. Craig.
Spending time with teachers who lift you up and don't beat you down.
Beautiful. Love that. Deanna.
Thing for me has been grace, just giving grace. And like I said, knowing that we're not perfect and that's okay.
Love it. Dean.
Listen, let's just switch to something else here. Let's talk about podcasts for a second and how important podcasts are to us as we continue to grow and continue to seek new avenues and ways to do things. List for us one podcast that really ignites your fire and that you really look forward to listening to and just dig in. So why don't we start off with Craig?
I mean,
And it's hard. One's hard.
I don't want to. I love the Chris Cuomo project. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but I can tell you that everybody has different thoughts of Chris Cuomo. But I can tell you this is that one thing that I love about his podcast, he is very authentic. And I always encourage people to try to put away your past thoughts and past ideas of what somebody has brought to the table, because it's really toxic to do that, and give somebody a chance to prove to you that they can really make a difference. And I love his podcast. It's just so real. So I would highly, highly recommend it. It's the Chris Cuomo project.
Thank you very much, Sherrod.
I can't do one every Saturday.
You have to.
Every Saturday.
Come on, man.
It's 4 every Saturday. Like every Saturday, I'm up from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock. I'm telling you, like the Fantastic Four, and then on Sunday night, like I never miss it. And I've been doing it for the past 3 years. Sorry.
Rockstar. Good enough. All right, good enough. Ann.
I know it's really not fair, but I'm trying to follow directions, so I'm going to do it. In addition to what I've heard so far, Dare to Lead by Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. It's so hard to pick one. Brene Brown is one of my favorite too. So I'm going to have to go with just Mindship of How We Learn. That's one of those podcasts that I just love hearing different ways of what we see on a daily basis. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And I would be remiss if I don't mention, you all need to follow Craig on his Twitter chats on Sundays. And Ann has a podcast. If you're not into Twitter chats, you're still renting your movies at Blockbuster. You're still buying your pants at Montgomery Ward. So put down your beta tapes and get with the 21st century.
Oh my God, what are you talking about, Josh?
So here we go. Let's make sure
Josh.
that we give a message to all educators for the 23-24 school year. Even though we're in week 6, some of you are like in week 1. I don't know how to get that, but let's have a message for 23-24 and.
All right. Our message, I know you keep catching me off guard. I'm still giggling from that last part. Our message for 24 school year. Make sure that everything that you do has a purpose and brings you joy and is centered around students.
Beautiful. Profe.
Simple. Tenga las ganas. Have the desire. Simple.
Craig.
Every day is an opportunity to create hope.
Deanna.
Put your intention in place every day and know that starting with that intention in mind, that today is going to be a great day no matter what happens, even if it's a difficult day, then I'm going to turn it around and going to find the fruit in today for tomorrow. So set that intention.
Good stuff right there. All right, listen, one more nugget about you that nobody knows. I want you to think about this right now. A nugget that nobody knows about you. And then how can people connect with you? Craig, you're up first. Besides being a power lifter and a world champion teacher, let's go. One other nugget about you. Let it loose. Brad.
Okay, here we go. So when I was born 2 pounds 15 ounces, and I was born in 1965. So I was born 2 pounds 15 ounces, and back in that day, that generation, I was literally given a 5% chance to live. So.
All right. So how can people contact you?
Obviously I have a book out, so you could check out the book, which I think is really effective. Obviously I'm an incredible Twitter fan. And that's at Shapiro_WTHS. I also do a Teach Pause chat on Sunday night. It's incredibly popular. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And my website is cmsdreambig.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Deanna.
Something that nobody knows. Ooh, okay. I wanted to be a newscaster growing up. I love to talk, and so I would always get in trouble for talking, and I just thought, well, why not? I can talk for a living. So I don't think I've shared that with many people. So yeah, that's one of those. And you can contact me on my Twitter at 2DPEC, 2DPEC. Kind of like Tupac, but not really. 2DPEC, right there. So just find me, let's keep sharpening each other. Love it.
I love that. Ann, go.
All right. So it's a little known fact. There are some people that know this. I am a Zimbabwean American, and I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. So I'm actually a naturalized citizen. and so that's a Josh, I see you. So that's a fun fact.
Far cry from Texas, Josh. I don't know if you know the geography or not. Just checking. Good stuff right there. Sherrod. Wait a second. Yeah. I apologize, Sherrod. How can people contact you?
Yes, I forgot. All right.
That's okay.
On Twitter, ANNHC. So ANNHC _champ for all.
Awesome. Great stuff right there. Sherrod, take it away.
So when I was younger, I wanted to be a WWF, WWE superstar. And I still have that dream to this day. So that's a little nugget. And of course, I wrestled in middle school and high school. So wrestling was my sport too, Coach Shapiro. And I can be contacted on Twitter at RodLaws0328.
Awesome. Good. Give us the X. Go ahead, Josh. Give us the X.
It's
Take
X.
us home
We
with your
gotta change
touchdown.
it, guys.
Come
Stop
on.
calling it
Come on.
Twitter. We're the X now.
That's right.
Hey, great job, guys. Hey, you know what happened, Dean? We went no back. It was a quarterback sneak, and we scored a touchdown. We scored a touchdown in the red zone. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight at the red zone. But hey, Dean Packard, it's not over. It's
Josh.
not over.
No, Josh.
This Sunday, 4 p.m. special time, 4 p.m.
Killing me.
Eastern. There's
Killing
this
me.
new author. It's some Craig guy. He just came out with a book, and he's gonna tell us about caring for kids. So if you want to know about this Craig guy, he kind of like lift weights. I don't know, that kind of guy right there. He's kind of very young in the profession. That guy right there will be on the flagship show, 4 p.m. Eastern this Sunday. Be there or be square. Take it away, Dean.
Hey guys, thank you very much. And Deanna, Sherrod, and Craig, thanks so much for being here tonight. You made me a little bit better. This guy has been in the trenches for 30 years. It feels a lot better getting to know you guys and watching what you guys do each and every day. And Josh, what can I say about you? You're always the Energizer Bunny from down under, okay? You never stop, brother. And that's what keeps me going as well. For all you guys out there, have a great week. Remember, kids come first with everything that we do, and support one another, and make sure you do the best to be the best you can be. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Hold on, Cass. Stay on.